Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Soulfully Soul. Today I want to be discussing one of the biggest questions I always get asked when people find out that I have lived in Korea. So the big question is, are Koreans welcoming to foreigners? Obviously everyone has a different experience. In my personal experience, I have found that yes, they are. I think part of it is luck that I've actually never had a bad experience in Korea in that sense. I've never knowingly received discrimination. No one has ever been rude to me or shown me any type of attitude because I'm a foreigner. But this obviously doesn't invalidate the people who have been to Korea and have not had a good experience. It's completely, I think, the luck of the draw of just who you meet. I do think a lot of foreigners go into Korea thinking that some Korean people can be very cold. I just think the society is different from the West, whereas I know in North America, on the streets, we're very smiley, friendly, we have that whole customer service thing going on, how are you? We do small talk. In Korea and other Asian countries as well, you don't really do that. And I don't think Korean people are cold. I just think they're very in their own life, they stay in their own lane. And this is one of the biggest things. They're also very shy. I think some of them might just be shy in general, but some of them are also very shy to speak in English. So they would rather just not approach you. And so it might just seem like they're very standoffish and very cold, but I find that that's rarely the case. As I said, I didn't experience anything myself badly in Korea, and so I really do want to talk about some of my best memories in Korea that were made by complete, absolute strangers that I didn't know. My one and only experience, I wasn't sure whether this person was approaching me with negative energy or not, was actually when I was in a Paris baguette. And it was this older lady who was at the cashier. So I went around the store, I got all of my breads, and then I went to the checkout, and she has not said a single word to me at this point, but she was staring at me the whole time I was in there. And I remember thinking oh God, is this gonna be my first bad interaction? I don't know what the vibe is right now. I pay, I smile at her, I take all of my things. I'm okay, let's get out of here. And then she finally speaks, and in Korean, she says, "You have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen." And I was oh my goodness, I was so taken aback because I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting her to talk to me, let alone compliment me. But it was one of the nicest things ever because I feel elderly people and younger people, kids, they really don't have a reason to compliment you. They could just not do that, and they really don't have any reason to lie. So that was just one of the nicest things ever. I worked at multiple schools, and the lunch ladies were always so sweet. They obviously have grandma energy because they're feeding a bunch of children, they're also feeding the staff. But I've gotten a lot of compliments from them. They're your hair's so pretty, your eyes are so pretty. A lot of them have complimented my nails because I would get them done. They're oh, your nails are so beautiful. So I'll get into this in another episode, but it doesn't matter if you're a foreigner because the Korean beauty standards don't apply to you. I know Koreans love pale skin and things like that, but obviously as a foreigner, that doesn't apply to me. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's someone who's looked at me on the street and was oh, her skin's dark, you know what I mean? But for the most part, they don't put their standards and standards of beauty onto you. And I actually didn't know that, but obviously I loved it because I was why the hell would I fit into Korean beauty standards? I'm not trying to. But again, that's a story for another day. Actually, I want to talk about one of my favorite stories, and it was when my parents visited me in Korea. This was my parents' first time in Korea ever, and I think they were very excited to just see where I lived and just how the people are, how the food is, just everything. So my parents and we took this really long bus ride from Seoul to Gwangju, which it was really long. It took maybe about 4.5 hours. It was longer than usual because there was just a lot of traffic. There was this man in his 70s who sat beside us, and he was very curious about us. He kept looking at us, and I just smiled at him, and he could only speak in Korean. And so I managed to just be the translator because he was asking just very basic questions. But I basically told him, I was oh yeah, this is my parents. I live here. They're visiting me. They're gonna go see my home in Gwangju. And he just lit up, first of all, that I could speak Korean. And you'll see this happening with a lot of Korean people. They usually have an okay attitude towards you anyways, but the second they see you even trying to speak a little bit of Korean, they get so much warmer and so much happier and just so much more like, oh, I want to help you out with whatever you need. And so this man definitely had the same attitude. He was like, oh my God, how do you know Korean? Like blah, blah, blah. And this was the sweetest thing ever. So we were at a rest stop because on a really long bus ride, you get like 15 minutes to use the bathroom and go and get food. So we're at this really huge rest stop. My parents went off to get some food. I stayed on the bus because I was just really tired. The old man also left, and then everyone came back, and then he takes out this bag of food and he's like, here, I want to share this with you guys. And he got us Odu Quadra, which is like this walnut bread snack thingy. It's so good with like red bean inside. And I told my parents, I was like, oh, this is a really good snack. Like this tastes really good. And he was so sweet. He was like, here, share with your family, share with your family. I know in like the West, it's like a thing of like stranger danger. Like you're not supposed to take food from a stranger, but in Korea and in Asia in general, like that's how you show affection. It's like giving food. And so that was one of the nicest things. And my parents never forgot that. And they still bring it up once in a while. They're like, remember that man on the bus who just like got us food? So that was really nice. And he was bonding a lot with my dad. Like he was asking me a lot of questions about what my dad does, how old he is, and things like that. So that was definitely one of my most fondest memories in Korea. And keep in mind, this is an elderly man in a rural area. And I lived in a rural area for 2 years. And I genuinely think those were like the nicest, kindest, most open-minded people actually I had met in my whole entire time in being in Korea. I do remember this other time I went to a cafe with one of my close friends, Bailey. And again, we were in rural Korea. We were in this really small town. We go to this cafe, we order our food, we're eating, we're talking. All of a sudden, this man, he's like a few tables behind us. He comes up to us, and if I remember correctly, I think he was speaking in English and then he switched to Korean. But he asked us where we were from because we were clearly foreigners, we were speaking in English. And so we told him, like, I'm from Canada, my friend is from the US. And he just lit up and he got so excited. He was like, oh, my daughter's in the US, she's studying there. And then he switched to Korean, and then he was like, when I heard you speaking English, it reminded me of her. And we were like, oh, that's like so sweet. And I'm so sorry that she's so far away. But he was such a nice guy. And then he left the cafe. He came back like 15 minutes later and he bought us like walnuts. And he was like, here's a bag of walnuts, like share with your friend. Because again, like giving food is like a way of like showing affection. And we were just so like touched and so happy. Because first of all, the walnuts were like warm and fresh. Like they were so good. But also it was so nice of him to go out of his way to do that. It goes to show like you never really know what people are going through and how they might relate to you. So it's definitely important to just like keep an open mind when you go. Like don't get me wrong, obviously not every single person is gonna like you, but in my opinion, you're gonna find that in any country you travel to. So I don't know if I just got really lucky or if genuinely like majority of the people I think in my opinion are just very kind. If anything, I would say they're just more curious than anything. As a foreigner, you do get a lot of stares in Korea, especially if you're not in Seoul. And because I lived in a rural area for so long, like I would get stared at all the time for just walking on the street. But most of the time you can tell it's just like a stare of like curiosity of like, oh, who is this person? Like, why are they here? Because obviously to especially be in a rural area, it's like actually like, what are they doing here? You know what I mean? So I can't really blame them. I know in the West, it's like a rude thing to stare. Like when you're little, your mom's like, don't stare. Like that's rude. That is not a thing in Korea at all. So definitely keep that in mind if you ever go. My family visited. We did have a lot of taxi drivers ask about my family because my brother was here as well. So they obviously could tell like, oh, this is a family. They would always ask like, where are you from? Like, what are you doing here? Again, they just get so much warmer when they find out that you speak Korean. And don't get me wrong, I am not fluent in Korean by any means, but I know the basics. So I can just like get around and like have a basic conversation with people, which is like good enough. Actually, I can't believe I forgot about this story. This is one of my favorite ones. I actually had to go to the police station in Korea because I had to get like a criminal record check for my next job after that. And no one could speak English, and the police officers were so freaking sweet. Like I think that was actually where I met the nicest people in Korea. And they were using a translator and they were just so curious about me. They were like, do you want water? We'll get you some water. They made the whole process so easy because I wasn't 100% sure actually how it worked. But there was one lady there and she was like, no, I think this is like what you're looking for. She gave me the sheet. I had to do my fingerprints, and it was so funny because it wasn't an electronic scanner. I legitimately had to put my thumb in ink and then like put it on the paper. I was like, this is like insane to me, but it was actually like a really fun experience. They brought me like wet wipes to like clean my hands with because it was like covered with ink afterwards. And they were asking me so many questions that were just so funny. They were like, so what do you like eat every day? Like, what's your favorite Korean food? Like, can you cook Korean food? What's your favorite thing about living in Korea? Like, I felt like I was getting interviewed, but it was really fun and they were so sweet. My coworkers were the nicest, sweetest people as well. A lot of them could speak a bit of English and they were very just like empathetic. They were like, oh, like you're so young and you're so far away from home. Like your parents must miss you. A lot of my coworkers were much older than me and their children were actually around my age. Their children were in their 20s. And so they were like, oh my goodness, I can't imagine like my daughter living like across the world. And I think because they had that mindset, they were just so like nurturing towards me. And a lot of them would give me like foods that I could make at home. Like they would give me like a packet of like instant soup or something. They'd be like, here, this is like a really good breakfast to have, like have this in the morning. A couple of my coworkers would ask me in the wintertime if my house was warm, if I knew how to use the heating. So it's just little things like that that make it so much easier to live there if you are gonna live there. If you're just visiting, obviously the hospitality and the kindness still goes such a long way, but especially when you're living there for a job, like these little things, it makes such a big difference in like your mental health, your happiness, how easy it is to be there. Like I knew if I did have a problem, like say I didn't know how my heating worked or it was broken, like I wouldn't hesitate to like tell someone about it and be like, oh hey, actually like it's broken and my house is really cold. And I know like they would get me help like that. Like they would be on it. And last but not least, I do want to talk about the students, my favorite part of the whole job, because I adore children. Being a foreigner in Korea, obviously sometimes or most of the time you do know you're never going to fit in. Like you're always going to look different, be different, speak differently, culturally you're different. When it comes to the kids though, you never feel like you're different, and I really love that. I would say for the first 2 weeks they're very excited and like, oh my god, like where are you from? Can I touch your hair? Like you look so different, blah blah blah. But after that they really just treat you like their best friend, and it's just like the nicest thing ever. They just want to play games with you. They want to show you so much affection. Like they always want to like hold my hand, they want to hug me. They'll always tell me like, teacher, you look so pretty today, teacher, I love you. They really don't see you as anyone different after a while, which is like so nice. And like interacting with kids there, it's a lot easier than interacting with children here. Like I know if I was a teacher in Canada, there must be a lot of rules with like physical contact and things like that and sharing food. But in Korea, it's like super lax. My students would love just running up to me and giving me a hug. A lot of them would just need like physical touch just for comfort, because obviously some of them are too young to know certain things like, oh teacher, I love you, I appreciate you. And so they just want to like hold your hand, they'll draw a picture for you. And again, one of the main ways of showing affection is giving food. And so it was the cutest, sweetest thing. But like if they had like an extra candy or something, they would always give it to me. And I would always try to give it back. I was like, no, you eat this, you enjoy it. But they'd be like, teacher, no. Like I could tell they were gonna be hurt like if I didn't take it. And so I was like, okay, thank you. And one of my schools, actually, we had like a sticker reward system. So whenever they did a good job, you would give them a sticker. And I vividly remember a couple of the students, they would have so many stickers that they would always give me like one or two, and they would just stick it on my arm. They'd be like, teacher, here, like you did a good job today. And that was just so cute, and that also just made me so happy. So yeah, all of this is to say, yes, Korean people are very kind, they are very accepting. Again, it's the complete luck of the draw. I think it just depends who you meet, but in my 2.5 years of living there, I personally never experienced any discrimination, at least knowingly. But when you go, just keep an open mind and know that by chance, unfortunately, if you do experience anything like that, it's obviously not your fault. That person is probably extremely uneducated, they're having a bad day and they're taking it out on you. There's like countless reasons that have nothing to do with you. But yeah, unfortunately, it does happen everywhere on the planet, not just Korea. So I would definitely just keep an open mind, just go have fun. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, you guys can always comment. But I know I was curious about this as well before I went to Korea, and my first time going to Korea, I moved there. So I was really just like dropped into the middle of the ocean. Anyways, that was it for this week's episode of Soulfully Seoul. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.